Australian sauropods. Welcome, guys, once again to the channel Ranking with Dinosaurs, where we rank, you guessed it, dinosaurs. And today, finally, we're gonna be finishing our little sauropod tour around the world, and we're gonna go to the last continent, or at least I thought it was the last continent. But I checked, Antarctica to see if there were some, I don't know, some sauropod that escaped my mind that we found there, and yeah, no sauropod, at least advanced sauropod, has been found yet in Antarctica. I'm pretty sure they're there. However, we have not found them yet. So we're gonna go with the other continent, Oceania. Oceania. I can't remember. I don't know how to say in English. I know how to say in Spanish, but not in English. But yes. So, and I was saying, Oceania. Okay, we're gonna go with. Let me find all these sauropods from this continent. You know what? It's not that big, so there's probably just a little bit of them, and I was right. There's just a handful. However, they're not. They're all from the same country, which is Australia. So this is basically the Australian sauropod tier list, and we're gonna be starting with SAVANNASAURUS. So we're gonna be starting the tier list with SAVANNASAURUS. And yes, I wasn't lying. All the sauropods that we're going to be talking today are going to be from Australia. Specifically, SAVANNASAURUS from Queensland, and it is found in the Winton Formation. This dates to late Cretaceous. Now, the whole type for SAVANNASAURUS does actually have a name. His name is Wade. How cute. And is the most complete specimen of an Australian sauropod that we have discovered. And is actually was found in the vicinity of a couple of different dinosaurs, specifically Diamantinasaurus, which we'll talk about later, but also Australovenator, which would be the apex predator of late Cretaceous Australia, and most definitely fed on our little friend here, SAVANNASAURUS, which was a medium-sized sauropod, titanosaur to be more specific, at 49 feet or 15 meters long. So pretty respectable, but not at the levels of other sauropods at that same time. This guy was notable, most notable, because it had some really wide hips. Them hips did not lie back then, and they were like 1.1 meters wide, to their from tip to tip. And this actually fared very well for this particular titanosaur, since it distributed its weight very evenly, because Australia back then was much more of a floodplain, so this guy actually benefited from this adaptation very well for this muddy ground. So SAVANNASAURUS, I don't have that much to say to it. It is respectable. I will give it a very respectable B tier. WINTONOTITAN. Now, this guy is a titanosauriform from, again, late Cretaceous, from, again, Australia. And from the name, I guess, I think you can guess where this guy is from. Yes, the previously mentioned Winton Formation. Once again, yes. So, this particular sauropod is actually known from a partial postcranial remains, which are, again, very scarce. With previous fossils attributed, which are now attributed to WINTONOTITAN, were actually before known as belonged to the genus AUSTROSAURUS, which again we'll talk about later. But I would say the main difference, well, not me, I'm saying the main difference that this guy has, for example, with Diamantinasaurus, a dinosaur which is very closely related to, and also shared its particular environment with, is that this particular WINTONOTITAN is not as robust as your typical titanosauriform. And again, this guy, known from the Winton Formation, actually we do have some like vegetation fossils, like flora from the actual area, some impressions on some rock, and we actually know that this guy probably ate a lot of these, ginkgos, ferns, angiosperms, gymnosperms as well. So This particular environment is also known, as I touched on before, is that it was a floodplain, and we see a lot of bivalves and mollusk fossils as well from here. So very wet environment, to say the least. WINTONOTITAN, I don't see a lot of. I'm gonna put it in C here. I'm so sorry. These sauropods they're not winning me over. DIAMANTINASAURUS. So DIAMANTINASAURUS, the Titanosaurian, again from Australia, during the late Cretaceous. I think I'm starting to see a pattern here of Australian sauropods, but the holotype for DIAMANTINASAURUS has been found alongside the remains of an Australovenator, which it had a predator-prey relationship. But also you got crocodilomorphs, and mollusks as well. This guy measured 52 feet or 16 meters in length and weighed a whopping 25 tons, which sounds big, but if you compare with other bigger sauropods from the same time, you'd find that this guy's more medium sized, like the previous sauropods we have discussed. It bore some similarities actually with Saltasaurus from South America and RHOETOSAURUS from Madagascar, specifically in the limited skull material that we have of the DIAMANTINASAURUS. And actually this year we actually have some gut contents that have been described, which is very rare for sauropods, and it showed that this particular specimen provided some evidence of bulk feeding and multi-level browsing. So this guy's just ate for long periods of time during the day, and it just let the stomach do all the processing. So again, DIAMANTINASAURUS, I like it. This is one of the ones that I actually knew from when I was a little lad. So DIAMANTINASAURUS, I believe I am gonna put it in A tier. Yes, DIAMANTINASAURUS is in A tier. AUSTROSAURUS. Now, AUSTROSAURUS hails from the Elaru Formation during the early Cretaceous in central western Queensland in Australia. Finally, oh my god, we finally moved on from the friggin' WINTON Formation. I'm so glad, finally. Some different sauropods from a different time in a different place. Holy shit. But yes, with that rant out of the way, we found that AUSTROSAURUS is on the bigger side for Australian sauropods, honestly. We got a body size of 66 feet or 20 meters in length, and weighing around 20 tons, if I'm correct. Might be over exaggerating that a little bit in body mass, but this was for a time considered at first a cetiosaur, kind of like Patagosaurus or Shunosaurus from China, and for a time was thought to be actually a nomen dubium due to it having a lot of similarities with WINTONOTITAN, but thank God it's not a WINTONOTITAN. But yes, this material has been revised, and it is hypothesized right now to be a valid, possible Symphospondyle. Symphospondyle, a word that I, for a long time, mispronounced until now, or until doing research for this particular dinosaur. I'm not afraid to say it. So, AUSTROSAURUS, just on the basis of being different, I think I'm going to put it at the same level as DIAMANTINASAURUS. Thank God. AUSTRALOTITAN. So, AUSTRALOTITAN, this time is a Titanosaurian Symphospondyle, once again, paying honor to that word and saying it correctly. From late Cretaceous, yes, I'm going to say it, WINTON Formation. However, this one is different. Again, WINTON Formation is from southwestern, central Queensland. But particular, Australotitan is actually known from multiple partial skeletons, not just a scrappy remain. And it actually represents the largest known Australian dinosaur. Yes, this is the largest sauropod and dinosaur that has ever been described from this particular country and continent, honestly, with a femur of similar size to Futalonctosaurus and Dreadnoughtus. So just to, you can paint a picture in your head how big Australotitan is. And this means specifically that gigantic sauropods could get to the sizes were present during the mid to late Cretaceous in the eastern side of Gondwana. Gondwana being the southern hemisphere, kind of like part of the continent back in the during the Cretaceous. And I gotta say, this big sizes, and I could definitely see this guy not having a lot of predators, specifically because we haven't found Carcharodontosaur remains in Australia. Although, let me know if I'm absolutely butchering that statement right there. So, Australotitan, for being the biggest one, I'm gonna give it the S tier. It's not that it's my favorite, but it's actually well known. And the fact that it's the most well known and is the largest one, I will give it the S tier. RHOETOSAURUS. So we're gonna be finally coming to the end of the tier list of this very how can I say it? Very diverse group of dinosaurs that we've talked about today in Australia. But now we're gonna be moving on to RHOETOSAURUS, and no, it is not from the Cretaceous. It is from the late Jurassic. This is in eastern Australia. And it is, this particular sauropod is estimated at 49 feet. In other words, 15 meters long. And weighing only 9 tons. So, on the smaller side for medium-sized sauropods. And, funnily enough, it's a little quirk with the name of this dinosaur. And it is that it has been mispronounced a lot of times in actual official papers. So next time somebody tells you you're stupid for mispronouncing the name of dinosaur, even paleontologists mess up sometimes, or in this case a lot of times. But the amount of material that we have of RHOETOSAURUS makes it one of the best known sauropods that we know from Australia, or in Jurassic Gondwana in and of itself. And this a lot of material has been found. Even in 2012, we found a lot of it in certain rocks. There's a ton of material: ribs, pelvic, pubis, femurs, hind limbs. Even today, there's still some actual fossils that are yet to be removed from the rock. So yes, it makes it one of the best well known. And today, it has been a little bit widely debated, but as of now, it is known as a basal sauropod, just outside Sauropoda, or Sauropoda, however you want to pronounce it. But RHOETOSAURUS, I have newfound respect for RHOETOSAURUS, and I'm gonna put it in S tier. And you know what? Australotitan, you're going down. RHOETOSAURUS is gonna be this sole S tier. It's going to be the end of the tier list, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry if this video is a little shorter than the ones that I've been putting out, but as you can see, Australia does not give me a lot to work with. Or Oceania, or Antarctica with its null amount of sauropod fossils. However, still, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment down below. What is your favorite Australian sauropod, if you have anyone? Which one do you hate the less? Let me know in the comments as well what other types of videos you want me to make, what other tier lists you want me to do. Lately, I was struggling a little bit with some of the tier lists, but, I've come up with a lot of different ones. I had to do a lot of, brainstorming, and I think it came out good. And again, we finished the sauropod tour around the world. However, we can do another tour around the world because, there are still some continents that I've talked about that still have a ton more sauropods. So please let me know if you want me to revisit some of those continents. Which ones do you want me to revisit first? Let me know down in the comments for that. Please, how can you help the channel? Like the video. It helps a lot. Subscribe. It helps even more. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.